Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked them, every one. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone? Gone for husbands, everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they?
Guess what? This is the AllDayLive show, and thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. And we've got Chip Tatum on the line, and we're going to hear from Chip Tatum. I think it's been about 9 years. This is WillPWilson, and this is the AllDayLive show, by the way. And I'm looking forward to hearing from someone that's not been heard of for quite a while. So it's going to be very interesting, and we got Stu Webb to help us on this. Stu, it's good to hear from you. This is the AllDayLive show, by the way, and this is the last night of the second last day of the month of January 2014. Just so you, I guess, can keep track of that. And Stu, go ahead, and Chip Tatum, we're greatly honored. We got veterans today. We got your Gene Tatum. It's not Chip Tatum, is it? It's Gene Tatum, right?
Gene Chip Tatum. My father's name was Gene also, and they always called me Chip.
Okay, because we can bring that up and show that in the background. We get it. So I was confused, but now I'm not confused. I appreciate it. And so Gene Chip Tatum, which I refer to you as Chip, everybody thinks of you that way, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So anyway, and then I thought it would be interesting for Stu to bring up the history of, you know, there was interviews of people with people that are not really what we think of as. Go ahead, you explain all this.
Well, I came across Gene in 1995 and had through Al Martin, the Iran-Contra whistleblower. And after checking him out, there's several super spook friends of mine at the time, and he checked out, and he was wanting to come public and put an end to Ollie North and Daddy Bush and General Richard Secord and many other criminals in our government and speak out. Of course, I got to know Gene, and I had the honor of putting him on many, many shows, booking many shows with him. And there were a lot of overlays with my ex-in-law, the Illuminati Zionist, Leonard Malman of Denver, Daddy Bush's partner. So anyway, I'll just kind of give you the background on Gene. We probably did, I don't know, several hundred, maybe even 1,000 radio shows. I don't even remember how many. But Gene was instrumental in many, many things. The cocaine trafficking in California, that was a big issue during that period of time. He was the one that got Gary Webb to bring it to the front end, the limelight, along with Terry Reid and Michael Rupert. And of course, Terry had the book, Clinton Bush and the CIA. He was one of the pilots in the Mena, Arkansas. And a friend of mine as well, and a friend of Gene's. But give you a background on Gene. Vietnam Special Forces Air Combat Controller, U.S. Army pilot flying classified missions during the U.S. invasion of Grenada, Iran-Contra pilot, 25-year CIA deep cover agent, and a member of the Altered Secret Pegasus hit team. And with that said, am I missing something in your bio, Gene?
I don't think so, other than my death in Panama a few years ago.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, the word was, and I'm the one that put that out because I thought he was dead. Because I was given that information by others, Stephen Dennerstein, and famous Iran-Contra investigator, who actually was the one that tried to bust Al Martin during the days of Iran-Contra and more or less squeezed him, and they became buddies. But they were putting it out because they thought he was dead. And supposedly Gene had his face ripped off on before the 2000 election and was laying on a beach in Nicaragua. So I don't know, how did that pain feel, Gene?
It hurt like hell. I was really sitting on a beach in Cartagena, Colombia, sipping pina coladas.
Yeah. Well, I was sitting in a jail cell for booking Al Martin during just the week, 3 days before, or a week before, for booking him on with the Jay Leno show, and they started calling up to have somebody debate Al Martin, and that didn't happen, so they decided they were going to arrest me in Las Vegas. And it's kind of an interesting story. I don't know if I've told you this, Gene, but
I've never heard it.
Yeah, and I'm sitting in a jail cell. They had just arrested me, and they've got me sitting there in handcuffs. And some lieutenant comes down, bars on his shoulders, police personnel, and he comes down, and he walks up to me, and I'm sitting on a bench, and he says, "Are you Mr. Webb?" And I looked at him. I said, "Yeah." He goes, "George Bush is on the telephone, and he wants to talk to you." I said, "Pardon me?" He says, "George Bush is on the telephone, and he wants to talk to you." And I said, "F George Bush." He goes, "What'd you say? You don't want to talk to George Bush?" I said, "F George Bush." And he goes back to the telephone. He's saying, "Yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir." Then all of a sudden he points at the two guards off in the distance and says, "Book him in." I guess they were getting ready to say, "Stu, if you go away and shut up, you can go to one of our casinos and collect your payment." You'll have to ask Al Martin about that story. He laughed because he got a call from Jay Leno's producer the night he was supposed to be on. Instead, they put George Bush on just before the election, George W. Bush on the Jay Leno show. So I got retaliated for booking the Jay Leno show, putting Al Martin on when he first came out with his book. With that said, Gene, give us all your background. Tell us what you know, what you've been involved with. We can't say it in 45 minutes, but do your best.
Well, I started my life as a volunteer in the United States Air Force. I volunteered with the Air Force, and I was told that I would become an air traffic controller, and even if I didn't go to Vietnam, I would be hundreds of miles away from the enemy working in a tower. So that kind of appealed to me, considering I was high on the draft and could have gone into the Army or Marines. So I volunteered for the Air Force, went to air traffic control school after ATC school. They sent me to Fort Benning, Georgia to learn how to parachute. And then after that, a couple short assignments for more training, and I found myself jumping into the jungles of Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, calling in airstrikes and calling in rescue aircraft to pick up downed aircraft for Air America and our armed forces personnel who had crashed in Laos and Cambodia, where we were not. Shortly after being captured, I found myself in a hospital in the Philippines, and the person who was in charge of our unit in KP, Thailand, we call him Ambassador Colby. He soon after that became DCI Colby. Briefed me and explained to me that I would be under the control of the CIA. I had my choice. I could work directly for them, or I could stay in the military and provide support to them as needed. I like the military. I like the camaraderie. And so I chose the military. I stayed in the Air Force, several missions for both the Air Force and CIA. And throughout that career, in '78, Colby told me things have changed a lot, and that I might be best, and I might best serve going ahead and retiring, hopping out. So after 8 years in the military, I left the military, went to Gunnison, Colorado. Started a small deli. Actually, I'd skied a lot. Loved skiing. Had the deli just to pay the ski bills. One day I was in the delicatessen, and in walked two fellas in sunglasses and suits and ties. It let me know that I was being reactivated and sent to the United States Army at a place called Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I was first sent to Fort Rucker, Alabama, taught to fly helicopters, and they started a brand new unit called the 160th Aviation Company, Aviation Brigade. They built that unit because during the Carter administration there was a failed rescue attempt in Iran. We had the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, all of the military forces trying to cooperate and fly in and rescue attempt, and they all crashed in the desert. They'd never worked together in that close quarters before. But unfortunately, it wasn't Carter's fault. It was his military commander's fault, but Carter got to blame. When Reagan came in, he decided they needed a new kind of unit, and so they brought well-tested special forces personnel, not necessarily pilots, because they could train them to fly however they wanted. They'd rather have those who didn't have much flight experience because of the types of flights we would be doing. They didn't want the military types ingrained into them. So we began our career at the 160th and flying night vision goggles, flying missions that were never flown before, flying in the only thing above the trees are main rotor blades, 150, 200 miles an hour, depending on the type of aircraft. Soon after that, we had a little trip to Grenada. There's a picture of me standing on the beach with 70 holes in my little bird, McDonnell Douglas Hughes 500, military style. And that was my last actual military mission until 1984, when I was called into, I should say last combat, until I was called in to represent or work myself into a medevac unit in Fort Stewart, Georgia, that was scheduled to go to Honduras. The Bolin Act came out in the 80s and would not allow anything other than humanitarian missions, and the secret CIA war for the Contras was going on, and so they needed humanitarian support of the kind that I could provide, flying medevac helicopters, but working for the CIA and working for Pegasus. That's pretty well it in a nutshell. For a quick nutshell, anything that you want to really get into, I'm happy to.
Now, back up in Cambodia and Vietnam, you were quite famous. You were Rambo. And tell everybody what happened at they had you go into Cambodia with several others. Tell us what happened.
We had a 13-man squad. Lon Nol was premier or president of Cambodia at the time. But he was a fence setter. And the whole idea, the whole Nixon plan to get us out of Vietnam was to get the other countries involved with the South Vietnamese and battle against the North Vietnamese. Without the other countries involved, without the other armies involved, the South Vietnamese didn't have sufficient assets to win any war. So Lon Nol was one who was just sitting on the fence. He would accept North Vietnamese help and aid. He would accept Chinese. He would accept U.S. So it was decided that what we would do was go in dressed as North Vietnamese sappers, drop a few sappers' bodies around the airport, but we'd actually blow up the Phnom Penh airport. It was a famous invasion, written up as one of the most effective invasions in the history of Cambodia, and the North Vietnamese were blamed for it. Soon after that, we had our aircraft carriers, we had our aircraft, we were supplying fuels into Cambodia, and he was on our team. Unfortunately, following the mission at the LZ where we were to be picked up, the aircraft never came. I learned from Mr. Colby later that Nixon had not planned for us ever to be picked up. It was a one-way suicide mission. Two of us, however, did survive. And I wrote about that, and I named it Operation Red Rock.
I put up a link today on my website, the latest one of a radio show, John Stokes interviews you and I. And in that, it has a link to, on my website, Operation Red Rock, if anybody wants to take a look at that. But how many people escaped that ordeal? Yourself?
Only two of us, and the sergeant, our platoon sergeant, had severe head injuries, but he lived for years and years after that. Just was never quite right after that.
But you were expendable. They anticipated getting rid of you, but you survived it. You were playing a Rambo, and that's what you were. And as a result, you worked yourself up in various operations of the government. I mean, you know, you did things for the government you thought were doing it for mankind, right?
Sure, you know, a gung-ho military man, you think you're doing everything you can for the defense of your country. And I was good at what I did. When I was asked to do something, I gave it my all, and I was lucky and I was successful. So because of my successes, I worked my way up through trust and with the right people in the right instances, and ended up working directly for the then Vice President of the United States of America and Oliver North. And in later years, I would work for the then retired Vice President, or then retired President of the United States. So in the special missions and special instances.
That was George Herbert Walker Bush.
That was, yes.
Okay. Now, you had a lot of connections in Iran-Contra. It just wasn't guns and drugs. In Iran-Contra was security frauds, savings and loan frauds, jump on daisy chain frauds, oil and gas frauds, real estate loan frauds. I mean, it was, I call it frauds or us. Is that pretty much true?
Well, they had to get money, and they were going to go get their money any way they could get it, especially when the Bolin Act came out, and they felt that they had to get money to the Contras. So there was nothing off limits. And there was a lot of assets sitting out there. Look at all the, for example, the savings and loan frauds and that. Look at all the homes that disappeared during one of the HUD crisis. And we know for a fact where a lot of those went because we were carrying documents back and forth to an attorney firm in Denver. You know, those were lost HUD homes. Thousands of lost HUD homes were taken, sold, and those monies were put into Black Ops funds or elsewhere. I can't really say where, but I have no doubt who I was working for, so I would assume that that's where they went.
Well, during the period of time, I've come to learn, you know, you had told me a story years ago about those missing HUD houses and how they were siphoned off of computer records and so forth, and, you know, that's what you were told. But you were changing the deeds and delivered boxes of deeds of these repoed missing HUD houses and delivering to Norman Brownstein, Daddy Bush, and Leonard Millman's attorney in Denver. But, you know, I don't think I ever told you, may have, but there were some people that I came across when they had me as a political prisoner in 1992 to 1993 that was caught selling some HUD houses in Arizona, and it was sentenced to 10 years in jail, and it was Wynn Financial of Denver, Colorado, Philip Wynn, convicted HUD figure, that was supposed to serve jail time and never did, and you know, I've got a story, matter of fact, coming up tonight on VT about it, but he was given a presidential pardon 12 years later by Bill Clinton. But Wynn Financial was financing those houses, and Wynn Financial was part of MDC Holdings of Denver, the parent company of Silverado. But so these houses apparently had circulated back around years later. And are you aware of Don Bowles, the Arizona Republic newspaper's journalist that was killed? Did you ever know about that, Gene?
Oh, only in what I read, that he was investigating, got too close, and was probably taken out.
Okay. I'm aware that he was investigating a lot of missing HUD houses that he had come across where Wynn Financial was financing the houses in Arizona. And I don't want to say who it was, but a guy in Modesta, California, a super spook that, you know, was quite famous of beating 10 or 15 people up at once. He had a black belt and dropped the body in the Glory Hole mine years ago in a pickup truck. And I don't want to mention his name, but, you know, I hear that he took him out. But, Gene, now...
Well, I didn't have a black belt, but I had a black gun, and it worked better.
There you go. Now, Larry Mizell, my ex-in-law, Leonard Millman, and his buffer, Larry Mizell, you had dealings with, basically, or indirectly, in Denver, Colorado, what I call the Illuminati Zionist, Daddy Bush's partner, Leonard Millman.
I'd never met him, but the things that we were doing were obviously because of the Brownstein tie-in were something to do with that, correct?
You're right. Now, Brownstein was one of Daddy Bush's 6 CI counsel when he was CI director. And he was also Millman's attorney. He served on the board of directors of MDC, which is the parent company of Imperial Savings of California and Canada, and was the parent for Silverado, where Neil Bush was director. Tell us what you did with the Millman-friendly banks and what you were instructed to do working for the government at the time.
In later years, after leaving active duty service, we worked for and were placed in proprietary companies. You know, you hear a lot about proprietary companies, especially during the Iran-Contra. You heard about the companies that were formed by North and Secord, several different names, doing several different things. And that's the way that intelligence works, is we form a proprietary company, and we're able to work under the cover of that company and doing whatever it is we needed to do. I mean, there was a point in time when I worked for a company called Melita Coffee as a development consultant for Melita Coffee Corporation out of Germany. That gave me the ability to travel throughout Europe without question. In this particular case, we formed a company called World Home Mortgage. We handled mortgages as a mortgage broker for Carl I. Brown, North American Mortgage, Countrywide Mortgage, many of the J.P. Morgan. We would basically take
Home American Mortgage was one of them, wasn't it? MDC.
We would package mortgages and into groups of millions, and then we would ship those off to be sold.
Where did you peddle those? Do you remember the names of the banks?
No, we were actually brokering for those banks that I just told you about.
Okay,
but they were packaged in groups and sold off to the. I would say they were sold off. I know a lot of them because of the way they were packaged. Were sold off to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Okay, so they took the beating on them.
Right.
Okay, so these were houses that just came out of thin air.
At that time, a lot of the houses didn't exist.
That's right. So this was way back in the 1980s, wasn't this?
We had straw men. We had that didn't exist. We had homes that didn't exist. We were given financial data. We were able to upload financial data into TransUnion and others that for people who didn't exist, and gain huge loans and mortgages for those people. Those checks went along with the loan packages and were sold off.
Okay, because we've talked about this a lot over the past few months, and even in the past, and I never understood years ago, back in the 90s, but with the bank bailout and forcing, working with people inside French intelligence, that basically forced them into the bank bailout because of the creation of mortgages by Mizell and Millman from 2001 to 2008, or the end of 2007, they really stopped it. But they were doing it through Asset Investors, a subsidiary of MDC, and they were buying them up all around the country, and then they were duplicating them 9 times, and then they had done, I think, 10,000 out of houses supposedly built in Arizona and California that didn't exist. But they ended up creating, according to Gordon Duff, Veterans Today, and other people, the numbers that they've come up with, and the comptroller of currency and so on and so forth, they're finding out in Treasury. They're finding out it was nearly $100 trillion of artificially created mortgages, securities that they were selling to various banks, entities, AIG, Citicorp, the list goes on. And then Norman Brownstein was setting up an HSCB bank in Canada, and derivatizing these mortgages. And the word is, I've heard on this, is it could be as high as $5,000 trillion worth of derivatives backed by false mortgages.
Hey, Stu, we got 4 minutes for this segment. Just
okay.
We're going to get back to it real quick. We'll do another segment. Is that good? We'll take a real quick break.
We've got a total of about 12 minutes, I think.
Okay. You want to just go through? We'll just carry this next 12 minutes.
Yeah, let's just carry this on through for about 12 minutes.
I've got a quick statement from Will Banjera. Will, go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Will.
Okay, can you hear me?
Can you hear him, Will? He's an investigator journalist as well. Go ahead, Will.
Yes, yes.
Here. Go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Can you hear him?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. One thing I'd like to ask you fellas is that if you happen to know a gentleman by the name of Kent McGowan.
What is the name again, Will?
Kent McGowan.
Kent McGowan?
McGowan.
Do you know the name, Chip?
No.
Okay, well,
He has a real heavy echo in his, I can't.
Okay, I'll turn that down. Go ahead. Just talk a little louder, Will. Go ahead.
all right. Okay, well, what he did, he was a friend of mine. He was, when he retired, he was a general. And, I forget the name of the organization that he worked for, but it would be the Navy SEALs would not even go near him. And what had happened with him was he was in Vietnam. He was a prisoner in Vietnam. And, pardon me, there was a young girl that used to love to come and see the prisoners and stuff. And what Kent McGowan had to do was slit her throat so that he could escape. And he did escape, and he did slit the girl's throat. And also on top of that, he went back and they released 7 other officers. They used to do things like breaking his fingers in the place in Vietnam. And they got out of there, and they got back. And President Johnson wanted to give them all, these special awards and stuff. And none of the officers would take them. And the reason why is because that little girl had her throat slit. And so I thought you may have heard of Kent McGowan because he was dealing with the presidents back in the time you guys were doing the same kind of thing. I think it's very exciting that you fellows also, when you speak the truth through psychology and through metaphysics, I learned that it changes the whole world. It makes the whole world better. And I just would like to add what I've talked about before. Dr. David R. Hawkins, who I've been doing his work for like 8+ years, he talks about super positive things. And I've mentioned this before on other shows. One of the important things that Dr. David R. Hawkins did was he created a map of consciousness that went from 0 to 1,000. Anything below 200 on that map, anger, rage, resentment, guilt, jealousy, apathy, is all negative energy. And then at 200, which is courage, 200, then it goes up to 1,000. Courage, kindness, generosity, love, integrity, etc., all the way up to 1,000. And there's a blessed woman that I had met named Amma, the Hugging Saint, and I had gained 3 blessings from her in packed auditoriums over the years, and it was a really good connection. Her energy is at 1,000 and above. Her essence is above 1,000 too. And the cool thing that I learned through Dr. Hawkins is that anybody who is at 200 or above, we counter individuals who have negative energy below 200. Now, he also said that an avatar, which is what Amma, the Hugging Saint, was at 1,000, and she by herself countered all the negativism in the whole world. And people are really coming to the spiritual movement, and every time a person gets at 200 and above, we counter other people's negativity. So what's happening is we are flooding the world with positive energy. I really want to thank you guys for your time. I want to thank you guys for your work, etc. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, I've got to run.
Go ahead, put that right
thank
there.
you.
And then,
thank you.
So I appreciate that input, Will. That was very good. And but I want to get one line. We got about 10 more minutes left. Stu, Chip, you did write a book, right?
I wrote 2. I wrote Operation Red Rock and I wrote the Tatum Chronicles. And actually, the Tatum Chronicles are documents collected during my trip to Honduras, flying drugs and other items, and documents and documented people who were on board the aircraft as we went into these training camps. One other thing I want to tell you about is, if you look at the article that I wrote on chiptatum.com, about the Web of Lies. there's a short video in there of all the Contras that were trained. You know, when North testified to Congress, he testified that a lot of the monies went toward the payroll for these Contras. I want people to go look at the picture of those Contras. Those are 12 and 13-year-old kids. What was happening was the Somozans were trained in RMTC, Regional Military Training Center in Honduras. They were sent out to the villages to recruit fighters. The parents of these kids were promised $10 a day, and the kids weren't able to provide much for the family at that young age. So they were sold off to the Contras. They were sold off to these camps. Young girls were sold off to the camps. You'll see them in uniform, and they were used as fighters and for other reasons too. You know, it was horrific things what North built and touted as being a wonderful humanitarian effort.
Real good.
Gene, if I may ask a quick question, could there have been the real Iran-Contra operation going on and two shadow government by Daddy Bush operations going on?
Well, the Iran-Contra was two separate operations. It was the sale of arms and other things to Iran, and it was the funding and the backing of the Contras against, which were ex-Somoza rebels against Nicaragua.
The only reason that I brought that up is that I've been told by, and have come to possibly think this, and I haven't discussed this with you, but I was told this by Gordon Duff and others, that they believe there were actually two separate operations going on, that Daddy Bush was doing a shadow government operation in behind the real Iran-Contra operation of at the time of Ronald Reagan's. One crossover where because he filled his pocket so heavily.
You know, they reported the sale of arms, and Congress. You can see Congress saying, "We know there's more to this than what you're telling us. Tell us what's really going on."
Stu,
but they didn't, because it was the sale of uranium.
Kurt, we have a statement here just before. Kurt, go ahead.
Yes, Iran-Contra, it was about cocaine trafficking into the U.S. Have you heard of Barry Seal? Barry Seal was in charge of 1 million pounds of cocaine being shipped into Mena, Arkansas, Mena Airport.
If I may interrupt here, because we haven't got much time, but Gene Chip Tatum worked with Barry Seals.
Okay, and then
This man right here worked with Barry Seals. He has a story about Barry Seals' death up on his website, chiptatum.com.
Well, Barry Seals
would pick up tons of cocaine from the Contra camps and deliver them off to Barry and off to military aircraft to be flown back to Nicaragua or that be flown to Panama and the U.S.
Now, I'll ask you one quick question, Chip. You delivered a load of cocaine to then Governor of Arkansas, Bill Clinton. Is that correct?
We delivered a cooler of cocaine and money to Little Rock Air Force Base, and we were met by a limo, and the guy that got out of the limo was Governor Clinton. That's
and
correct.
Jackson Stevens of Little Rock.
Jackson Stevens, that's correct.
Okay.
and Ollie North and Admiral Poindexter and Bud McFarlane were all involved.
All complicit completely.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
Gene Chip Tatum worked directly for Ollie North and the Vice President, then George Herbert Walker Bush.
Wow. Interesting. Okay,
We're going to be hearing more, by the way, on Monday, and maybe we can bring Chip back on next Thursday and do a whole hour of a new segment of things.
that'd be great. We're going to have a segment tied to this because we're not going to have a full hour with this one. And we're going to have Thomas Hayes and Stephanie-Lundquist talking about their petition at the White House petitions website Fukushima disclosure. That should be interesting. This next segment here coming up. So, and that took a lot of courage for them doing that. But go ahead.
I just want to thank you, Will, because we have another program we have to do in 1 minute, and I thank you for the time you've given us, and we did cut you short, and I apologize for that.
No, I can't tell you how greatly honored I really am, Stu, and I'm greatly honored that Chip. I've read about you and worked with Bob Lewis many years ago writing for Americans Bulletin, and it's a great honor to know you, to talk to you, truly.
It's wonderful to be here with you guys today.
Thank you very much, Chip. And it's chiptatum.com. Anyone could go there, or it's Veterans Today /author/Tatum, right?
Correct.
Is that, and then Stu, I guess you're right. Hey, good luck with this next program, and we're going to hear from Thomas Hayes and Stephanie-Lundquist. Hope that you get to enjoy this about what they're doing with the petitions. We should know about Fukushima, and maybe we could cover that. That's another big cover-up, you guys. We got a lot to do, right? I'm sure we do. Yeah. Thanks for the great work. Thanks, Stu. Thanks, Chip. Thank you. We'll see you in the next segment. Thank you next week. All Day Live. Boy, hang in there, everybody. We've got another one coming up. Thank you, Stu. Anyway, so I hope we got that one down. I hope you can hear me at this. This is WillPWilson hanging for this next segment. It's going to be interesting. And the microphones will not be working, Greg, because the set that we use here at the North Seattle Community College campus does sometimes and does not sometimes. We're just grateful to have a chance to be able to use it. So we have to wrestle with it when it doesn't. And that's just the way public access TV can go. We aren't financed, we aren't on a budget. It's just the goodwill of the people letting us broadcast the truth every week. This is WillPWilson AllDayLive, and hang in there, this should be interesting. Whitehouse.gov petitions, Fukushima disclosure. Now, it should be interesting. Hang in there.
Greetings fellow Anons and freedom fighters of the web. I have important news to announce. It involves the Fukushima Daiichi power plant foreclosure. There is a petition going around Facebook that is encouraging people to sign it. We ask for you to sign it, so that we can get 100,000 signatures in 30 days needed for the White House to be required to respond. Make your voice heard. Together we can make a difference. We the people have a right to know, sign and share. Take a stand. We are anonymous, we are legion, we do not forgive, we do not forget, expect us.
We've launched a petition at whitehouse.gov that is full disclosure for Fukushima, and Anonymous is currently helping us get the signatures required. We need 100,000 signatures in 30 days. If we do not get the 100,000 signatures in this 30-day period, we will refile the petition and refile the petition and refile the petition until we do get the 100,000 signatures.
Keep going. Keep talking. We got to get information.
All right. So
microphones aren't working, as you can hear. Go ahead. Stephanie, give us some information.
Okay, it might have something to do with the dials being all the way up.
No, it has to be some sabotaging the equipment, but that's all right. We'll live with it. Just keep getting the information out. Come on. What's new? What's going on with this whole thing? What's it all about? Where do they go? I got information on the bottom of the screen.
All right, you got the information at the bottom of the screen. They can go to the whitehouse.gov and actually sign the petition. Just like any other petition site, you need to create an account to do it.
Well, once you create an account, you could then look at all the other petitions out there, but this is the important one, or at least to us. That's why we're promoting it here. Fukushima has been leaking for at least 2 years now. Let's see. Officials in Japan admit that 300 tons of radioactive water from Fukushima is entering the Pacific Ocean every 24 hours. It kind of seems like a drop in the well, but, you know, a few years down the line, it does accumulate and it does spread. So
So what are some other things going on in Fukushima? You got your 10 facts there. What would they be?
I have 10 Fukushima facts here right in front of me. We got flyers we're going to try and spread throughout the city, potentially, or some random person might. But one is that it is estimated that there are 1,331 used nuclear fuel rods that need to be removed from Fukushima. And number two, according to Reuters, the combined amount of cesium-137 contained in those nuclear fuel rods is 14,000 times greater than what was released when the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima at the end of World War II. And officials in Japan admit that 300 tons of radioactive water from Fukushima is entering Pacific Ocean every 24 hours. Said that one already. According to a professor at Tokyo University, 3 gigabecquerels of cesium-137 are flowing into the port at Fukushima Daiichi every single day. According to TEPCO, a total of somewhere between 20 trillion and 40 trillion becquerels of radioactive tritium have gotten into the Pacific Ocean since the Fukushima first began, or the Fukushima disaster first began. And something is causing fish along the west coast of Canada to bleed from their gills, bellies, and eyeballs. Failed to tell you that in the news. 150 former sailors and Marines say that they now have radiation sickness as a result of serving on the U.S. Navy's ships near Fukushima, and they are suing for damages. The iodine-131, cesium-137, and strontium-90 that are constantly coming from Fukushima are going to affect the health of those living in the northern hemisphere for a very, very, very long time. It is believed that Fukushima nuclear facility originally contained a whopping 1,760 tons of nuclear material, and it is being projected that the entire Pacific Ocean will soon, quote, have cesium levels 5 to 10 times higher than what we witnessed during the era of heavy atomic bombing testing in the Pacific many decades ago. So this is not going away anytime soon, and it is only going to get worse, and we need to do something. So we're just trying to figure out what else we can do, what the government knows that they're not going to tell us.
Right, by getting the petition signed, because let's face it, the geeks got 100,000 signatures to build a Death Star. Everybody remembers that petition went around the internet. We need 100,000 signatures, build a Death Star. Obama responded to the petition. If they will respond to building a Death Star, they had better respond to full disclosure on Fukushima. If they do not respond to it, then we know that they are hiding something. And who knows, maybe some masked friends of ours can help bring some of that stuff to light. But for now, let's try the petition and let's try raising awareness. And everybody hit the Pangea Archival Network.
By the way, you guys want, of course, it does have that whistle sound to it, doesn't it? This is Will, and I want to mention that we do have Professor Gizmo, and Professor, it's a great honor to have you. We got here as well. But as we're bootstrapping this, well, you're probably right. Yeah, we'll have to, obviously, we're being sabotaged here on the set, just so people know that. Isn't it fun? Anyway, at least you get a chance to observe this, everybody, and we do this for nothing. Of course, it does pay, doesn't it? We're paying the price, no matter what. Yeah, you're probably right. It's okay. We've got to figure it out here now. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy all the drama that's going on here at the set. Fukushima is an extinction event. We brought that up, and we talked about cannabis and hemp being put through as addendums for the Organic Farm Bill state in all the state senates and the federal senates, because it will be one of the last proteins that humans consume once the seafood is already decimated in the Pacific and now the Atlantic. And all the sardines are dead too now, just so you all know that, everybody. It's like, what are we doing? Are we playing games and watching fantasy TV at night? It's time that we wake up, right? And you're trying to help wake them up. And what better way than to do it at the White House right there in their lap? Am I wrong, Tom?
No, I think that's exactly what we're trying to do here with the petition, because If we can get 100,000 signatures, then they got to respond. If we don't get 100,000, we refile, and we refile the petition every 30 days until we do get the 100,000 signatures. And so if the science fiction geeks and all the guys out there can get the 100,000 for the Death Star and have Obama respond to that, we should be able to get 100,000 signatures for Fukushima, because this is going to be going on for at least 40 years. The soldiers on the Ronald Reagan who filed suit, they got nothing out of the deal. So they're now taking to freezing the land under the plant to try to keep the water from going out into the ocean. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. The more research you do into it, this is an extinction level event. It's a slow bleed of radiation into the Pacific that will continue. It's not going to stop.
Real quick, Tom, I'm going to mention this real fast, then we'll get to Professor Gizmo. I see you reaching for this. This is, if we can get this on here. I was going to mention that many years ago I worked with Dr. Yul Brown, and Dr. Brown, Brown's gas, people need to understand this right away. It's called Brown's gas, or go on hydroxy gas on YouTube. Teach yourselves. There's some great people. You can build equipment in your garage. We're going to have to start using this technology because it neutralizes all nuclear material instantly. You can go on and learn about that. Type in Michael Wells Mandeville nuclear chemistry. Patent that we filed in 1993 that lasted about 2 days, and it was black box. Why? Because it would put the Bechtel nuclear storage out of business. We could run our entire system on water completely. And not only that, but we can neutralize all nuclear material instantly, and the water that you drink from it is also instantly neutralized as you're driving your car or heating your community up with only water. Boy, oh boy, those oil companies don't like you guys hearing about that. I wonder why the mics aren't working. What do you think? Anyway, so you all know about that. The cannabis industry needs to realize that they're more important than these people who want to think that it's just a bunch of hippies smoking drugs. No, it's actually helping remove nuclear contamination from the human body, from the soil, from the water, and hemp may be the only protein left for humans to consume. We better get our act together again. And thanks for doing it, Tom. Tell us a little bit more about the petition. What can you do?
Okay, well, the petition's up at whitehouse.gov. Just type in full disclosure, Fukushima now. We're also in contact with several groups in Japan, some people actually in Fukushima Township. They're planning an August 6th day of action, and we're going to be doing more information about that on the Pangea Archival Network. Perhaps we can do a day of action where we do it in several cities around the world at the same time.
I was going to mention, how do they keep track of people signing? How do you know? How do you keep track of that?
Well, it's a petition site, so when you sign, the number tally goes up. You do have to create an account at the whitehouse.gov, but that's any other petition site as well.
Make sure you only sign it once.
Right, you can only sign it once, so, and I think you do have to be an American citizen, I think, or at least in the United States. I don't doubt citizenship's required, but you got to have a zip code anyway. But definitely go sign the petition. He's showing it up on the screen now. Hopefully we can watch the numbers rapidly increase in the next few minutes. That would be awesome. We could do like a telethon thing, you know. That could be kind of fun. Maybe we could get these guys over here on the sidelines to sing a song for you if we can get it up to 2,000 in the next 10 minutes. You know?
Well, that's the website in the background.
That's the website. Okay.
Right, right there. And that's where they can go. And we'll show it real quick, and that's the information on the bottom of the screen, right?
That is it. That's the petition.
Yeah. And that's the information disclosed.
That is the information at the bottom of the screen as far as I can tell on the monitor over there. Yes, it is.
And so it will tell you how many people have signed it already?
At present, it looks like 1,582 people have signed it.
That's not bad.
That's not great, but it's not bad. It's better than some of the petitions up there.
Watch it grow. Could always be worse.
It could be worse, but if it doesn't make it to the 100,000 in this 30 days, then it'll be back next month, and the month after, and the month after, and the month after.
You guys have been out in the. Where are you getting petitions signed at here in Seattle? Where are you getting signed?
We were out at Pike Street Market last weekend. Some people may remember this lovely young lady over here handing out petitions at the market. Most people acted like we're trying to hand them a live snake. But I guess that's to be expected because we're right here on the coastline, and any mention of Fukushima automatically makes people uncomfortable because they don't want to think about the invisible radiation or the fact that the entire Pacific Ocean seems to be dead, as several reports are coming in. One guy took his catamaran from Hawaii to Australia. He said what he saw en route was one tumored whale and plastic.
Yeah, can you believe that? Can you believe that?
I can believe it, yes. So, the fact that the starfish are melting in Puget Sound from a mysterious disease, I think we might know where the mysterious disease is coming from. People are having some pretty serious health effects along the west coast of the United States, and there doesn't seem to be any mention of Fukushima in the news. It's just like the Gulf oil spill. It's now, nobody's talking about it.
Real quick, Tom. If once you get, how many signatures you want? 100,000? Is that it?
100,000 in 30 days.
100,000 in 30 days. Today is the, when was it, when did you set it up? What day?
It's set up on here. We have until January 18th, or no, we have until February 18th to get the 100,000 signatures. So if we don't make it by February 18th, we'll refile. We'll do it by March 18th, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, until we do get the petition passed through.
So keep posted, just in case we don't make it this first time. We'll need you the second time, and spread the awareness.
Right. Pangea Archival Network sponsoring the petition. You can find us on Facebook. We have about 20 pages on Facebook, various regions around the country and the planet. So we're not hard to find. Our information's at the bottom of the page as well. So stay updated on this. We're not going to stop, and we have other petitions in the works aside from this one. So
what is actually in the petition? What do you actually, what is going to be accomplished so they get full disclosure of, okay, disclosure meaning, do you have it outlined? Do you need more input?
All the information that they have to fill in.
How about volunteers to help people with the ability to add more to this petition? Can you add more to it? It's not just in stone yet, is it? You can add more to it, more disclosure, more subpoena power, meaning disclosure.
The White House would give you, I would suspect that when you get your 100,000 signatures, the White House would probably contact you at that point.
Okay.
So either that or before that, some national news is going to be contacting us. But the petition, as it reads, it says, "We, the people of the world, want full and complete disclosure concerning the impacts, effects, and consequences of the Fukushima disaster."
Down so they can see you. They can
All
see
right.
you on TV.
We cannot address an extinction-level event without true and faithful revelations from those in power. Pam believes that together we can make a difference. Let us prove that by making the White House respond to this petition. Okay, well.
You got to do it right.
You gotta hold the
As we mentioned,
microphone.
got to mention, this is a sabotage set operation because we have been completely sabotaged, but we're still going to do what we have to do. I apologize for everybody having to have to deal with that. It's not your fault. It's not our fault. It's somebody who's very good at doing it, and so we have to live with it this time. Maybe they'll fix the mics. Maybe they'll point and get out there. Maybe we can get some funding too. You need funding?
PAN always needs funding. We have a GoFundMe link to help us get the petition going too. And so if you go to GoFundMe and find Fukushima Full Disclosure Now, or I don't know if he has it available to be brought up on the screen. Do you have the GoFundMe link available to show the people?
I don't know. Is it up here?
I believe it is.
Is it? While you're talking, I'll
Okay.
bring it up. What do you think?
Okay. So the GoFundMe link for the full disclosure on Fukushima will be coming up on the screen here in just a few
Okay,
seconds.
Where would I find it? GoFundMe, right?
Hang on, we already had it open, remember?
Oh, you did. Oh. Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, that's it.
That's
why we had
it.
all that on.
Awesome. That's GoFundMe. And what is
That
the,
very vibrant red radioactive biohazard sign. It does include both.
Okay, that's it right there, right? That's where they got to go.
That's it.
That's where you gotta go.
Okay, yeah, so we got to sit right here in the background. Oops. Hi, Professor. Anyway, so that's it. We should have put it at the bottom of the screen. So you guys, what are you asking for? What are you trying to accomplish?
We're trying to get at least $1,000 up because they're printing the flyers and putting the ads in things like The Stranger and the Seattle Weekly and the various newspapers and TV stations in the area. If we're actually going to get the 100,000 signatures, we're going to have to get some ads out there. So if anybody at The Stranger or the PI or any of the other local publications or stations wants to help us get the image and the petition out there, then contact us. All the contact information's here in this broadcast. And hopefully we'll be hearing from some of you in the near future because this is something that's not going to go away. It's the next 40 years at least at this level, unless there's another earthquake or tidal wave or something else, which is likely. So then, but for the next 40 years, at least 300 million gallons of radioactive water a day are going into the Pacific Ocean.
300 tons of radioactive water.
All right, 300 tons of radioactive water a day. That's still a lot of radioactive water to be dumping into the ocean every day.
300 tons.
300 tons.
Yes.
Right? And so that's just going to accumulate in there, and everything from the bottom of the food chain to the top of the food chain is going to die. And so we need to do something about Fukushima. This is something that everybody should be talking about, not ignoring, because when we get the cancer from the winds blowing straight here into Seattle, we're not going to ignore that. So why should we ignore it now? If your house is falling down, you don't sit there and wait till the roof's collapsed. You actually get up and fix it. There's a problem. We need to get up and fix it.
Yeah. Tom, I'm going to scroll as you talk. Keep explaining
Okay.
what you're trying to accomplish, that you need contributions. You also need people to help out.
Well, yeah, we got,
signed, right?
of course, on Facebook you can find us. There's actually an event scheduled on Facebook, and it's shared all over the walls and the pages. You can't miss it. And so come into the event, contact us. I'll send you the flyers that we got. We've made some handy dandy flyers with some 10 facts on the back and the petition site on the front. And so get a hold of us. I'll send you the JPEGs. You can print them out.
Bring that up again. Let me show a close up of that. Hold on.
Mine has folds in it.
Oh yeah, is there one that's not all folded?
They're all folded.
They're all folded at this point.
Folded?
All right.
They're all folded at this point.
They're all folded at this point. So
Anyway, that's what they're going to learn.
that's one side, and there's the other side with the 10 facts.
Okay. All right.
And so
Plus they can help you out here over Fukushima. But yet we're doing the best we can, right?
we're doing what we can. I
You
mean,
are.
PAN
Yes.
is a new nonprofit here in the Seattle area where our mission statement is to document the past and present effects on the First Nations of the world. Obviously, there's a lot of First Nations that are Pacific Islanders. There's a lot that live along the coast of the United States. We're always anticipating that these nations will contact us. We're doing outreach to them as well, see what the effects of Fukushima and some of the other things like the pipelines and various things that are going on up in Canada. We're in contact with Idle No More. We're in contact with AIM. We're in contact with a lot of groups. And as you can see, we have some support from Anonymous as well. So that is going to help to go a long way to get these signatures and to raise awareness.
How did you get? That's incredible. You got Anonymous to do that. That's amazing.
I didn't get them to do anything.
You got 1,600 hits on that already.
I don't get Anonymous to do anything. I put the petition out there. Anonymous likes the idea, and Anonymous is behind us. So
Greetings, fellow
I can't
Anonymous.
ask them or direct them to do anything. If they had chosen to not support the petition, they could have just as easily crashed my Facebook page. So, it's just...
What is the Facebook page?
The Facebook page is Pangea Archival Network. There's right now about 20 pages on Facebook for various countries and regions of the United States. The main page right now is hovering about 3,000 people. I think it might be a little over. I've been busy with the petition, so I haven't been on Facebook as much lately. But we're here in the Seattle area. We'll be down at the market again next weekend. You'll see the big sign, look a lot like that image behind us there. And you'll see both of us. I'll probably have a camera, and this young lady will have a fistful of flyers. So if you want to come out and help her hand out flyers or bring a bullhorn or a drum or something, maybe we can do a little walk around the city. Some of you might remember pirate parades back in the day. Maybe it's time to resurrect those, isn't it? At least it made people come out of their houses and pay attention.
Get Professor real quick some input.
Yeah, there's probably things people could do like get their own Geiger counters and set up a network of people giving readings of different various locations. It's not just Fukushima either. It's Hanford and military waste dumped into the ocean years ago in containers, and we have Bangor right here in the Puget Sound that has a lot of checking up to do, I'm sure. Yeah, we have a lot of things that people could do, to go